And my daughter really, really, really always wants to do them, but we're always a little hesitant because it devastates her. Like when she doesn't get selected, she is crushed. And so day on Friday, it's 160 kids and they narrow it down to like 20. And so she's in a group with, and this is unfortunate for her, she's in a group with, a little kid. It's like 2. Obviously, they're going to select the 2-year-old for doing it, right? So there's just nothing to be done about it. She doesn't get selected. She's crushed. So then on Saturday, she's no, I want to do it. I understand I can't win. And like every time. And I'm like, I just gave it. It's for charity. If I just donated money to this charity, would they just get her to the next round? I didn't do that because it wasn't fair to the other kids. She did get through to the next round and then made it to the championship round. Didn't win, but like made it to, so it was all.
That was okay. She was happy with that. Okay.
So I don't want to add competition. I don't want to get like in a group with her or do those things. So I don't do the charity thing in the hope that it gives my daughter a better chance to advance. Like I feel like there's just I don't want to do it. Honestly, I can't dance.
Did you do the one thing I asked you to do while you were there? The one thing because
you wanted me to go to the thing in Dallas.
I needed you to do that because I want to do it, and you were right there. There's 2 things that you didn't do.
I did not go to the thing in Dallas. You asked me to do that.
You dropped the ball on 2 things. One is even more upsetting than we thought.
What was the other one?
One was I wanted you to go to the Cosm place.
I didn't go to Cosm.
Okay, that's
the schedule
fine.
didn't align. It didn't work out.
The second thing is just inexcusable, especially for this show. You were within 15 minutes of Jack Caglione's game in Texas against the Rangers. You could have been there the day he hit 2 home runs, when there's still the only 2 home runs, obviously, when the offense actually existed for this baseball team briefly for a few days. You could have been right there. Could have been right there. And that was before we were starting to get worried. We were saying, man, if Cody comes back and Cags doesn't have a home run then the song is a problem. We were about to say the song is a problem. Initially, the Royals had lost 6 in a row after your song. You know that, right?
I did know that. And then they won 4 in a row, and I thought, okay, problem solved.
That's right.
We're right back. Because that's the whole thing. Like, while I was gone, they lost. They were starting to lose before I left. They continued to lose while I was gone. And I'm like, oh, my God, by the time I get back in the show, are they going to be in some? Man. And then they won 4 games in a row, and I thought, okay, fine. I'm not going to have to come back and be like, no, they shouldn't fire Q because the team can't hit a homer, or no. And like, I thought we were going to be able to avoid some of the conversations that had existed before I was gone. And then they just go back and lose every home game before I return. It does feel a little bit like deja vu. By the time we arrive, we're here back saying, still can't hit homers, pitch really well. Defense has still been an issue for this team that we probably haven't highlighted enough throughout the time that they've struggled. And I'm right back wondering the same thing. They're stuck in no man's land. I would say if you're buying, I'd actually prefer you buy now. Don't wait and find out if you need to buy. You have to like do it immediately and try to solve some of the problems, not hope to do it. Selling you can wait on.
Yeah, it's funny. You and I haven't talked about the updated viewpoint of this because you've been gone or whatever. But no, that's essentially what I said yesterday with Vern. That if you were going to buy a rental or anything, then it needs to be done today. I don't want you buying a rental in 2 weeks or something like that. And if you're going to sell, you're going to sell. That'll work itself out. We've said that over and over. But yeah, Cody, I mean, what we've seen this homestand, last homestand, this is maybe not the 9 straight home losses, but the offensive struggles, this is who they've been the entire season. That's nothing new. What they did in Texas was the outlier performance, but it's now 9 straight home losses, 7 straight losing home series. They've guaranteed that after the loss to the Rays. And, of course, they'll wrap up their series against them this afternoon. Or, by the way, off at noon today. We'll hand things off to Vern. And then the Dodgers come to town.
Is it Lugo on the mound today? No, I think it's Lorenzen.
Lugo's this weekend,
I
believe. Yeah, Lugo's this weekend. And I don't want to sound like a broken record because, look, we have been talking about this offense over and over.
Yeah, we have.
But what's happening, like you cannot say what's happening is all right and it's just on the players. You just can't. And as we said, like teams with historically bad offensive seasons, a hitting coach that hasn't had great seasons in the past, either, you don't just say we don't hold the staff accountable. It's starting to feel on a small scale a little bit how things went eventually where everybody realized they needed to move on from Cal Eldred. But they just waited, and they were very loyal and patient and loyal and patient. it seems like if they continue on this historically bad pace offensively and they go through the rest of the season and it either doesn't get better and they don't make any staff switch at all, then it feels a little like the Cal Eldred situation where we'll be heading into next season saying, oh boy, here we go again, and they'll be mid-season next year before they make a move.
Here's the one funny thing about that is that I always kind of attributed the slow move part a little bit more to the Dayton era than it was to the JJ era. I didn't think Cal Eldred was a good coach, and they had held on to him way, 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 way too long. I'll just tell you right now, you're once again in the position with your offense that you have to do something. Like you changed the lineup before. Change it again. Hit Michael first. Hit Bobby third. I don't care. Do something. Just sitting around. Hit Jack Caglione eighth. And you don't have to. I understand that he's not hitting for power right now or for average really at that point. But do something. You can't just sit around and be like, today's the day, the offense will figure it out. That ain't it. That's not it. Because right now, my biggest fear is that their solution to the offense will be recalling MJ Melendez and Michael Massey and just hoping that works the second time. Because now, obviously, we've seen that.
Well, if they don't buy,
and these others.
Yeah, I mean, if they don't buy, that's exactly what's going to end up happening.
But that's essentially just selling, in my opinion.
Well, that'll be in 2 weeks, or if this homestand ends up being an 0-6 homestand. But in 2 weeks, if they're 7 or 8 games plus under 500, and they're 7 or 8 games or whatever roughly out of a playoff spot, then yeah, it'll be very obvious they should be sellers. And of course, Massey might get called up, by the way, like this weekend or early next week.
He's on his rehab assignment. He had a three-hit day.
Melendez is probably late July if they don't do anything at the deadline kind of thing, and nobody at that, or unless he's part of a trade, by the way.
Massey's only taken like Rave's spot, in my opinion, in that scenario anyway, so that's not really changing anything about it.
There are no internal options left from a player perspective. There's not.
But you got to do something. Change the lineup.
It's the hitting. The hitting staff. You cannot say status quo is fine. Yeah, the lineup thing. I don't get as hung up on that as maybe you do, and I know a lot of other people do as well. I would argue the lineup. If we all agree the players are not performing and that there's clearly an issue with hitting, I'll hit lineup. Like if you want to change it, that's fine. Like, what do you want the lineup to look like? They're not. It doesn't matter. Like they're not hitting anyway. Like, it doesn't do anything.
It might be deck chairs on the Titanic.
Yeah.
But it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing is what they have been doing for the since the lineup change. I would say that includes Michael Garcia hitting third. Nothing is what they have done.
By the way, he's hit worse since he's moved to third.
I know exactly. And again, that goes back to him hitting leadoff. Michael Garcia and other players, depending on the player, work better in a scenario in which they are put in a good position. He was being put in a good position before, and it was working. I liked where he was hitting. And it was functional. Their problem is that they need an addition to the lineup so that everybody else can kind of go back to their spots. And look, the Jack Caglione stuff, I'm sure you guys have talked about that endlessly too. No, I'm not worried about a young player 3 weeks into their Major League Baseball career.
It's just that if everybody's struggling to line up, then why would I think that the guy that's only been up for, what are we up to, 20 games now? Yeah. Why do I think that he would he would be the one? He'd be the one hitting.
If the other guys who've been in the league for 5, 7, 8 years weren't.
It's been a disappointing start for him, but the fact that the entire offense is stunk and they're having a historically bad offensive season, that as far as like the bigger picture stuff with him, that's honestly though that would be my concern, bigger picture, with not having any hitting development and hitting change at the big league level. From a coaching perspective.
Yeah, there's got to be, there's just got to be something. Movement is what we're looking for.
They don't hit the ball out of the freaking infield.
Yesterday, and again, because
yesterday's
I was
plate
going on the
approach was
trip.
worse. Cody, they had a perfect game against them 2 nights ago from Taj Bradley through 5 innings.
Yeah.
Last night's approach was worse. Yes. You might be, how's that? It was worse. They were not patient at the plate, swinging at first pitches. Truly, like the effort.
Were they trying to set a world record for pop-ups?
For the first time, the effort looked like just laziness. Usually I would say the effort's been there. That's not been a problem. Last night it seemed like the effort wasn't even there. It's a mess. And look, when you've lost 9 straight games at home, obviously there's a psychological impact now that is happening with the team too. Yeah,
that's the other part, is that now going out to the K feels like it's going to be a not good time. And you got to change at least that mindset, right? Let's just say you were going to catch a nooner today from the office. You're a salesperson. You're like, I was going to go catch the Royals game, see if I can't see Jack hit his 3rd big league homer. Right, I was going to go out to the K. Right now, the vibes at the K have got to be at a low. And this goes back to the same thing. I have said before in this show, and I still stand by this, I think we have always, especially as it relates to baseball, undervalued confidence. Where you are at a confidence point. Because when a team feels like they're winning, feels good about the winning, all those things, You can see it. You can feel it. It makes sense. You can absolutely kind of get like the flow and the rhythm to it. And they feel like the opposite of that right now. And I absolutely think that that's part of the issue as it relates to the Royals as it sits, is that they're just going into the K probably feeling like, they're going to lose a game. And that part, that's tough.
I mean, we're at
That's
the point
really
where
tough.
if they lose today and it becomes a 10-game losing streak at home, then then they are 3 losses away from literally having an entire month of June winless at home. Like that's someone would have to look up when's the last time that's happened in baseball, other than than the White Sox maybe last year did it when they were historically bad, or the Rockies. But
maybe, but it's still hard to go 30 full days without winning.
Cody, they are 4 losses in a row away at home from that happening. They're not that far off from that being the case. They could have what is that? An 0-13 home record in the month or something like that.
I gotta say, I've not been worried about Jack Caglianone's defense based on highlight plays he continues to make.
Look, I hear you. It's nice to see, but it's so hard to get excited about any of that stuff right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just meant as far as
I
they're still pitching. It's not.
I saw this yesterday. Since May 23rd, the Savannah Bananas have won as many games at Kauffman Stadium as the Kansas City Royals have.
I mean, it's not great.
Yeah, I saw that was a very popular tweet. People had like 7 different versions of that.
Yeah,
like the first person got it wrong. They said in the month of June, the Bananas were here in May, but good effort. And then somebody corrected it, and then everybody thought they were making the same clever joke last night. But
we get it. The Royals can't win at home and have not been able to win at home lately, and we hope that changes tonight at the K. I was thinking about, you're sitting around in these dance studios. It is sometimes painful amounts of time in between songs. So there's
Did you fall asleep ever?
No, I can't. It's like sleeping on an airplane. Never did take a nap. And I was mostly because, my wife has to help get my daughter ready. Desmond and I were palling around a lot. So I try to take him out to give him a break.
Much smoother operation this time?
Play. Much smoother. Yeah. No issues in that regard. Everything was smooth. The worst that happened to him is he got some blisters from walking. Him and I went to the zoo, just the 2 of us.
Oh, nice.
And he got a couple of blisters. And he was like, I don't understand these. And you're like, it's fine. You'll be okay. Put a Band-Aid on and he was good. That was the worst case scenario for him. I will say, just real quick on another dance observation, and then I want to tell you what I was thinking about Chiefs related, and I was sitting in these halls. I saw not 1, but 2 different kids dance to a Kanye West song. And I thought to myself, how on earth? One was in like a medley. One was a song. And I thought, I understand that you started practicing these in like September. Like my daughter started practicing in like August or September. When he starts selling Nazi stuff, man, you got to get out. You got to get out.
Are they classic
dance?
Kanye songs like Graduation?
Yeah, but that doesn't matter.
Okay.
We've known he's crazy for a while, by the way, too. When you choose the medley in September, it's not like this is just all coming to light. I thought he was a perfectly normal dude. No, I like R. Kelly, Kanye, Diddy. These are the ones that are off. I understand they got a lot of popular hits that you could probably
a lot of
dance
songs
to.
You got to erase.
I understand, dude. But
did anybody have Michael Jackson part of their thing? Probably we're at a dance competition.
The third overall place in the so our kids, our dance group got 2 total callbacks. One for their huge production number, and one for a tap duo that 2 other kids did in the thing. There were probably like 45 dances that got callbacks, and then out of that they choose the grand national champion or whatever. The Michael Jackson mix got 4th overall, and I thought, also not great. Also not great. But definitely better than the 3 I just mentioned because of the time of it.
Yeah, I think as time goes on, things might change for some of them, like the Michael Jackson songs.
So let me tell you about the thing. Other than that, what I was thinking about. Other than the dance choices, which I have questions about occasionally, I was sitting around and I was thinking about the Chiefs. And this isn't a Andy Reid is a bad coach or the game is completely passed him by conversation. But I did think that if the offense once again fails, this is kind of like the offense for the Royals. If the Chiefs offense once again falls behind the pack, they're 12th, 15th, 18th, have no big plays, it looks similar to the way that it did last year. I do think people will start the conversation of Andy's not adjusting to the offense part of the league. Because you can say Andy still knows how to win a football game, which I think is true.
Yeah, I mean, 150 of them. Yeah.
And that Spagnuolo helps them stay up to date on the defensive end. That'll help them grind out even more wins. But if for the 3rd straight year, the offense just looks, I'm going to start wondering if Andy's not seeing offense the way he should as it relates to modern football.
I get why that would be a thought. Totally. I would say, though, and this is where this year is going to be really interesting, and I know you're saying, hey, if it happens again this year, but we just know last year's plan going into the season got altered drastically
the injury, sure.
by one, Hollywood Brown against the Jags in preseason, then Rice against the Chargers in week 4. And so it caused their initial plan of, I think, Rashee Rice being the focal point of the offense to completely go away. Therefore, Kelsey was asked to do things that maybe at this point in his career is not where he's at. And then you're asking a rookie in Worthy to become one of your biggest weapons. And as the season went on, he developed into that, and he had a very nice rookie season. So I want to see if it happens, Rice, Worthy, Hollywood, with Kelsey, with maybe a left tackle that can provide some competent play. We'll see. Does that just fix everything? My thought is I think that fixes a lot of this, and we're talking about this offense
Especially
being back in that realm of top 10, top 5 trend, category. But I would argue against, I would say last year, the fact that they were able to pivot the way they did and still find a way to get to 15 and all that. In a weird way, doesn't that show that Andy Reid is able to adjust to win football games? The name of the game, ultimately, it's as much as I love fantasy football, you love fantasy football, I love betting on over prop bets and all that. That's not Andy Reid is just, hey, win the damn game. Just win, baby. And that's what he does.
So I would say if it's a 1-year sample size, that's why I wouldn't have and didn't bring it up at any point last year. I would agree with you. This would be the 3rd year now in a row where I would say the offense is below what I would expect a Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid-led offense is. So, sure, there are excuses individually we can give in individual years, and I think that a lot of those are logical and make sense. That's part of the reason why this year I would feel that way, Gold. For the previous 2 years, I agree with you. I actually think I look back at last year, and my instinct is to say, well, considering the talent you had on the field, you managed to scrape by a 12th ranked offense. And the fact that it was ranked 12th, considering just how wretched you were at the deep ball, actually kind of a positive sign. But as it sits right now, this feels like now it's June 26th. We're barreling towards an excuse-free year. You're going to have Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, and Hollywood Brown all in a field together. You're going to have maybe you're going to have a really good left tackle. You got a chance of Joshua Simmons as your starting left tackle.
But you and I both know while fans would get frustrated, if I told you this team won 12 or 13 games, won the AFC West, where a top 2 seed in the offense was 11th, are we really going to freak out about that?
No, because it will have to come with a reduction of wins.
Well,
10 or 11. 10 or 11.
Okay.
I mean, because he still has to win. They still got Patrick Mahomes. They can only lose so many.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think most of us recognize
look like a Chargers team.
Most of us recognize they're not winning 15 games again. I think when we did our quick schedule look, I don't know, back in May, I think we both were at 13 wins.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Our very fast 13-14, we were in that range. I don't remember exactly.
We'll do it again before the start of the season.
Yeah. That'll be my official one once I've had some more time to actually think about it.
No, I just think in terms of adapting, that's where I worry the least about this current coaching staff is their ability to adapt in season. I mean, that's where, Spags has been starting now these last couple seasons, but remember that was the whole thing with Spags a couple years ago. People would freak out as defenses would start slow, and then they would make adjustments, and they would end up being a pretty darn good defense. Heck, in game, Steve Spagnuolo, I still think, makes better adjustments than any other defensive coordinator in football. There'll be plenty of drives in the first half where social media is panicking. Oh my gosh, you're letting them drive down the field. What are you doing? Second half, they shut them down. They make an adjustment. That to me is where this coaching staff thrives.
Yeah, I do think so. But I feel it with Spags. On the offense, sometimes it's like, hey, you're going to do, like in game, it's like, Andy has a plan, and he likes his plan, he likes his script. And last year, it might have just been that there were no adjustments to make when your leading wide receiver was a rookie they had taken in the first round that they didn't plan on counting on, a tight end who did not look as fresh or as healthy as we are accustomed to seeing, and a bunch of missing wide receivers outside the unit. I will say, that one of the adjustments he definitely will not have made is if they put all this speed on the field and all these guys are healthy and they still average 4.5 yards a throw, I'll be like, Andy, people go deep in this game sometimes. We got to push the ball down the field occasionally.
But as you know, there's more
to actually keep these teams honest.
There's more context to that, though. Like, is the is the left tackle situation fixed?
Yeah.
Is it average play, below average? Is it all of a sudden become elite because you hit a home run? Like, so much of that, we talked about this when you were gone, Cody, I think yesterday or 2 days ago. Warren Sharp put out numbers, and we looked at, did you know the Chiefs, there were only 3 teams that had fewer completions of 25 yards or more through the air.
Yeah.
and they were only ahead of Arizona and I think Miami. But Green Bay led the league. That might have surprised you. But we found out, like, hey, the middle of the road on that is 12. If the Chiefs just had 12 of them, they'd be right in the middle of the pack.
Which is what I expect this year.
And there were 2 or 3 of those very plays that, early in the season, Worthy and Mahomes were not on the same page. Worthy was stepping out of bounds. Mahomes was leading him too far out of bounds, whatever it was. And so if you just get a few more of those, that solves, I think, some of what you're talking about.
What's funny is I don't even anticipate that this will end up being the conversation. It's like having the precursor of, if this Royals season continues going this way, then Q will be on the hot seat game 1 next year for the Royals. It's not that I think Andy can't adjust. I do think he is the best, or I don't know, one of the 3 best coaches, whatever it is, in the NFL, and that would kind of come into play there. But I do wonder whether or not, like, how do you get the deep passing game back involved again becomes the inevitable question, obviously, for the Chiefs.
All right, coming up next, I got a question for you about quarterbacks heading into their 2nd and 3rd year in the NFL. Plus, we'll talk a little about the NBA draft last night, some of the funny moments that occurred, and how much did you actually pay attention to it? That's next.
Cody and Gold, brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. Follow the station on Instagram for ticket giveaways and behind-the-scenes content from the show at The Fan 965.
0% financing is back at Reiselman Nissan. 0% APR for 5 full years on both Nissan Rogue and Pathfinder. Or choose 1.9% for 72 months or even 3.49% APR for 84 months. Bought your last car at 6, 7, even 8% interest, trade it in and drive off in a brand new Nissan and lower your monthly payment. Plus, get up to $6,000 in rebates on the rugged Nissan Frontier. And don't miss 1.9% APR for 60 months on the sleek and powerful Murano. No one in Kansas City has a better selection. Visit Reiselman.com for details. Reiselman Nissan. Every customer, every time.
Real stories with Hellsberg.
After we met and we started dating, Nancy and I lived 150 miles apart, and I would drive my old jalopy car, and it was roughly a 3-hour distance. It took 3 years I drove across that state, back and forth, dating her every weekend.
Persistence.
And I would have never stopped. I had a lot of energy back then. 36 years ago.
At Hellsberg, find the engagement ring worthy of your story. Designed with the love, care, and craft it deserves. Visit a Hellsberg store or hellsberg.com.
Some people just know they can save hundreds on home and auto insurance by checking Allstate first. Like to check your house sitter has the new code first before leaving for vacation.
System lockout.
But that's the code!
Contacting authorities.
I'm out of here.
Oh, seriously, the car too?
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a home and auto bundle that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Not available in every state. Potential savings vary. Allstate Vehicle and Property Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Add some star-spangled style to your summer with Ashley's Stars and Stripes sale. Going on now. Shop Hot Buys for every room in your home. Now just $6.99. Plus, you can save up to $1,000 store-wide. And don't miss upgrading your patio. Save up to 20% on select outdoor furniture. Or feel the freedom to buy now and pay over time with 0% interest until 2030 on in-store purchases made with your Ashley Advantage Synchrony credit card. Only at Ashley. Subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See store for details.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/joy, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
Allstate knows your home means everything to you, and you'll do anything to protect it. But not just with any protection. You want insurance that'll be there for you and your family when you need it most. And that's what Allstate's been doing for over 60 years. So check Allstate first for home insurance you can rely on. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Coverage subject to terms, qualifications, and availability. Allstate Vehicle and Property Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Everyone has a fave Wendy's Frosty flavor. And when you're choosing from chocolate or vanilla, it's not that hard. But now, there's all new Frosty Swirls and Frosty Fusions. So try picking your fave from Oreo Brownie Fusion, Pop-Tarts Strawberry Fusion, Strawberry Swirl, Brownie Batter Swirl, Caramel Swirl, and Caramel Crunch Fusion. Not so easy now, huh? For a fresh way to Frosty, gotta be Wendy's. Open till midnight or later.
At participating U.S. Wendy's, hours may vary by location. Oreo is a trademark of Mondelez International Group. Pop-Tarts is a trademark of Kellogg North America Co., LLC. Used with permission.
Now at Verizon, we have some big news for your peace of mind. For all our customers, existing and new, we're locking in low prices for 3 years guaranteed on My Plan and My Home. That's future you peace of mind. And everyone can save on a brand new phone on My Plan when you trade in any phone from one of our top brands. That's new phone peace of mind. Because at Verizon, whether you're already a customer or you're just joining us, we got you. Visit Verizon today. Price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
Why'd I go to the doctor? My heart would race just taking my son to practice. It didn't feel right. So I got checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
All right, back here on Cody and Gold, Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Drew Nixon with you here on a Thursday. Coming up in just a second, I've got a question involving second and third year quarterbacks in the NFL. But before that, the NBA draft last night. Yesterday we were discussing it, and Drew was asking how much I was going to watch. I said, I'll watch like the first 10 picks, and then it gets, I said, confusing because guys get drafted. They wear a hat that they don't even get drafted by a team, and then it gets confusing and tracking who's with what. And then I saw Scott Van Pelt had a whole monologue on it, and maybe that's what we need. We need someone with a national voice to finally end this, because it's the most ridiculous thing about the NBA draft that when they're interviewing, let's say, Walter Clayton Jr. from Florida, he's wearing a Wizards hat, and there's already a graphic on the screen that says the pick will be sent to Utah. We already know he's going to the Jazz. What do we do? Give him another hat. It's crazy. So that part is always annoying. I ended up only watching the first 5 picks, and then I was like, all right, I'm out.
Drew said, and I am not kidding, that he plans on watching round 2 tonight, to which Speck and I both responded. We were just listing off the things we would rather do.
Round 2 of the draft.
Than watch round 2 of the NBA draft. They included, and are not limited to, whittling a stick, going on a walk in the middle of this heat in jeans. Those are things I'd rather do than watch round 2 of the NBA draft.
I normally go on a walk every day, but not during the draft.
I'd rather whittle a stick on my porch like it's the 1890s.
I did watch the entire first round yesterday.
Round 2 is crazy. I understand if you watch the first round. Totally get it. You're an NBA guy, and if you got a team, that's not. Round 2 is a little wild. I just couldn't watch after the first 5 picks or so. It just gets very repetitive, and you get to the point, especially once you get to some of the
entertaining moments, though.
I know, but here's the thing:
Colin Cowherd getting drafted?
Did I really miss them though? Because if there's a moment like that, I know it's going to be all over social media. Like, yes, there was a pick in which was it Malika Andrews?
Yes,
who said that Colin Cowherd got drafted.
So the Portland Trailblazers select Colin Cowherd here. This is a young man with the ultimate bet on yourself story.
So
it was an actual laugh out loud moment of excuse me.
Social media picked up on it very quick. Colin Cowherd had his team quickly mock up him in a Trailblazers uni. Now the kid's actual name is what?
Cedric Cowherd.
so how did we get to Colin?
CC and Cowherd,
It had to have been the Cowherd part. It
doesn't even work in ESPN anymore.
I know. For ESPN to do it, that also is.
They showed Ace, I think,
Asa Bailey. Yeah,
they showed him on the screen, and it had said Cooper Flag underneath it.
That's not Cooper
It was a
Flag.
bad broadcast.
Yeah.
It was just a straight up bad
rough.
broadcast.
The first pick we all know was going to, we already knew it was going to be Cooper Flag, and there's all sorts of prop bets already out for him. For him to record a triple-double in any game next year is -120. Like, it's not even a plus money bet. Rookie of the year, he's -190 to be the rookie of the year. If he stays healthy, it's probably going to be him. Yeah. If you bet on anybody else, you're basically betting on an injury for Cooper Flag.
Wimby.
Ace Bailey at 8.5 to 1. Trey Johnson, the kid out of Texas, 8.5. Dylan Harper is actually in a really good spot. I like that at 12 to 1 if you were going to take a flyer on anybody, given the circumstance that he's going to be in. But yeah, the NBA draft, truly, like an SVP, it's funny that he did that last night because we were joking about on the show yesterday, because I really think it is crazy. Move around your league calendar if you have to. Guys get drafted, and we don't even know what team they're going to. If you just look at a photo of them in their draft hat and stuff, that's just bad marketing by the NBA.
Well, there's the viral Kobe Bryant and a Charlotte Hornets hat, of course, Yeah. It's been a thing for a long while.
Just don't put them in hats. Your league works different than the NBA. This is the only thing I give them credit for, the NFL. Other things, but at least they've made their draft at least I'll put it on. I am not interested in any other league's draft at all. I don't care about baseballs. I didn't watch 30 seconds of the NBA's. Okay, Cooper Flag's going to go first.
It would help
said,
if KC had a team, but yes.
For sure.
I like the NBA, though, and we'll watch the NBA, Drew.
If we had an NBA team, we'd be more locked in. That's fact.
It would help, but I do understand why you wouldn't feel as...
But Drew, it gets
background noise-ish, as the NFL draft can be.
It gets, this is like the NFL. We know the names that are getting drafted. So after the top 5 to 10 picks this year, when you have 10 international guys getting drafted, and you get into some of that,
scene of the kid in the that was I was about to say the only I don't know the player, but the kid from China coming out of the crowd.
Young Hudson, drafted from the bleachers, he was.
Cool moment. He wasn't invited to the draft because nobody thought he was going to be a first-round pick. And he just, spotlight on him, rises from the crowd and walks down. All right, kind of cool. But, I'm not sticking around. I'll just wait. Social media will tell me what happened there. That's all.
Yeah, NBA draft last night, round 2 this evening.
I think that's just the NBA as a whole, in all honesty, is that if you want something from the National Basketball Association, you can find it on social media. Where in the NFL, you can find moments, but in order to really understand the entire picture and how things really went, for the most part, you got to watch the entire game.
The only thing I'll say that was nice compared to the NFL as well would be because now that Woj is out of the game, there was no pick spoiling.
Yeah, Shams did a nice job of holding back.
There was no, the NFL draft. If you're on social, you'll find out the picks. You guys were giving. I was joking with you guys when we were at the landing for our draft party, and we're sitting there, and I'm like, oh, I already saw the pick. And you guys are like, don't tell me what it is, and it's because everybody's tweeting it out already. NBA draft, they did a good job of that. I'll say that was kind of nice that you had to watch in the moment to find out. We already know who was going number 1, but pick 5, there was still some debate.
Questions about whether he'd be in the Utah Jazz because he openly said he didn't want to play for them, and then they drafted him anyway. A little bit of baseball news, nothing important, but Bobby Wood Jr. has officially been selected as the starting shortstop for Team USA in the World Baseball Classic.
I was like, there's
for
no
the
way.
Royals? No,
I was thinking All-Star game. I was like, he lost that vote to Jacob Wilson, or he's going to at least. Okay, good for him. That's awesome. No surprise.
Mark DeRosa
as he should
announced
be.
that he'll be the starting shortstop.
Yeah, I mean, he absolutely should be. Are you kidding me? Absolutely.
I agree. Love Bobby Wood Jr.
We were talking about some of the guys getting drafted, young talent in the NBA. Flip over to the NFL, thinking about the second and third year quarterbacks that we're about to have in the NFL. And I feel like there's only one, maybe 2 names to even consider here. But if I were to ask you, the second or third year quarterback in the NFL, you actually trust with the game on the line. We know the vets you trust. Patrick Mahomes would be the only quarterback I would ever want with the game on the line. He has proven that time and time again.
There's other guys I'd like with the game on the line.
But he's the top answer.
He's the guy.
Second and third year quarterbacks, though. So eliminate the vets. Second and third year guys.
You don't want to give me a first year and I just randomly say Cam Ward, even though I've never watched him play.
There's no way that would be your answer. There's no way that'd be your answer.
Tyler Shuck. I'm a big Tyler Shuck guy with the game on the line.
It's actually Dylan Gabriel. Look, what second or third year quarterback would you trust with the game on the line? The obvious answer, and I think the only answer, really, it's Jaden Daniels. That's it. And it's a small sample size. We're talking about second-year quarterbacks now. But we saw Jaden Daniels come up in clutch moments multiple times last year, leading his team. I'm not even just talking about the Hail Mary, which was an insane play, but he had moments like that throughout. He seems like he kind of has that clutch gene. Jaden Daniels the only answer I'll listen to. Second or third year quarterbacks, give me another one that you actually would want with the game on the line.
I don't even know. Okay, so the only other one that is probably worth a conversation that you know something about is CJ Stroud.
Okay.
Because Bryce Young, like, I'm not even sure he's a good starting quarterback yet. Let alone with the game on the line. He's never had a game on the line. His entire team has played 2 straight years without a single game that mattered at all. So, like,
I'm sure in his rookie year he probably had a couple game-winning drives.
When they were like 2-11, and it was 2 minutes to go, and they were down 3.
The Texans, they weren't 2-11.
No, not the Texans. I said Bryce Young.
Oh, Bryce Young. Sorry.
Yeah, Bryce Young. C.J. Stroud made the playoffs.
Yeah, that's what I said. I thought you were still talking about Stroud.
No, I said Bryce Young came with the answer. His team has never played a meaningful football game the entire time he's been the starting quarterback. I know he won an Natty. So, like, do I consider that part of it as, like, he won a clutch game once? Nobody else from that one. Anthony Richardson, Will Levis are the only 2 other quarterbacks in that, and they don't matter. And then it's Drake May, Caleb Williams, and Michael Penix, and J.J. McCarthy, and Bo Nix, who I would all argue are complete unknowns. I actually think you can make a decent argument for Bo Nix third if you wanted to enter the conversation, because at least his team was in close games and they won close games. But I'd still end up choosing like Caleb Williams or the more talented guys that I don't know anything about, like Michael Penix, before I'd go with the stable body. Because again, it's not.
Here's what's funny though. I will
Daniels
say,
by a mile.
I think it is, and that was my first reaction. Then I looked up the numbers of game-winning drives. This is going to surprise. This stunned me because to me Daniels is still who I would answer even after knowing the stat. I think I would still say Daniels.
Yeah.
Do you know that it's 1 year versus 2? So let's keep that in mind. But Bryce Young, and I'm sure very soon Jane Daniels is going to pass these guys very quickly. But in 1 year, Jane Daniels had 4 game-winning drives in his rookie season last year. 4 game-winning drives. What they clarify and classify, I should say, as that. Bryce Young in 2 seasons has 6. He's ahead of Stroud. Bryce Young has more game-winning drives than C.J. Stroud.
Is that every win he's had? Is that every win he has?
Absolutely might be.
Stroud has 5 of them. But yeah, that was surprising me that Bryce Young had 1 more in the same amount of years as Stroud, and actually fewer games played than Stroud, because remember, Bryce Young got benched.
I was about to say, yeah.
And he has 6. Now, Jane Daniels already has 4, and he's played 1 full season less, so he's on a much better pace. But I was surprised to see that. If you're wondering, Bo Nix had 3 of them last year in year 1. Anthony Richardson had 3 as well. Bo Nix and Anthony Richardson, same amount of game-winning drives.
Okay, again, I take Bo Nix. I take a lot of guys over Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
That's not really up for debate.
I think Anthony Richardson would take somebody else as well.
That is,
over himself.
As much as I was being borderline sarcastic, that is every Bryce Young win. He has in his NFL career won 6 NFL football games. So the only ones in which, to me, that's not
clutch. He's clutch.
No, it's not. He's clutch.
He's clutch, man.
He's always behind, and 6 times he managed to win a football game.
He's on a bad team. He's on a bad team. No, I would take Jane Daniels obviously over Bryce Young, but I thought those numbers were interesting. If you were just wondering out of the veterans,
maybe on a good team he would be more clutch.
If you were wondering out of the vets, and these guys have played varying number of seasons, but Matthew Stafford currently is the league leader in game-winning drives. He's also been playing since 2009, but he has 49 of them. Russell Wilson since 2012 has 40 of them. Derek Carr, who's now retired, but 35 of them. Aaron Rodgers is 4th. He's been playing since 2005, though. He's got 34. Active quarterbacks, a little bit younger, obviously under the age of 30 and everything. Patrick Mahomes has 23 of them so far in his career. He actually has the same amount of game-winning drives as Dak Prescott.
But I never look at this as being all that bad in the good quarterback standpoint.
Yeah, because you're ahead.
Because, it doesn't tell me he plays from ahead 90% of the time. A team's ability to come from behind sometimes, because I remember Phillip Rivers used to be king of this stat. Phillip Rivers, come from behind kid. He wasn't a more clutch quarterback. His teams are just behind more. And if you're a good enough quarterback, you will win a certain number of those games, even though you are consistently behind. But
that graphic on a Sunday Night Football, whatever broadcast they're doing, fourth quarter, all the time they cite the game-winning drives in his career or whatever.
I know the way Mahomes plays when it's the fourth quarter
and that's why,
and overtime, and they have to have it. I know how he plays.
And that's why he's the overall answer to this. But out of second and third-year quarterbacks, it's Jaden Daniels.
Who's second, by the way, on your list, just out of curiosity? Can it be Josh Allen if he's never been to a Super Bowl? Even though I think he's the second best quarterback?
In terms of clutch drives?
Game on the line, 2 minutes to go. I need a touchdown.
Yeah, here's why. Here's why the answer can still be Josh Allen. Because even in the 13-second divisional round game where we all remember, Josh Allen was answering the call.
That's got to be your example.
He scored with 13 seconds. What else was he supposed to do? You know what I mean?
I actually don't think it can be a quarterback if they've never been to the Super Bowl.
So you don't think you can be clutch if you can't if you can't get to a Super Bowl? You don't think you can be a clutch quarterback?
So then who's your answer? Jalen Hurts or Joe Burrow?
Yeah, there's only been
Purdy?
in the Mahomes era, it's been Brady.
Only like 3 more answers.
It's been Brady.
Well, it's not going to be Goff.
Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, these are the only quarterbacks that have been in the Super Bowls during this era.
Damn, I guess that is the part that's hurting me a little bit.
You only have like 4
Stafford?
choices. Or 5. Yeah,
Stafford, Goff, Hurts, Burrow,
and Purdy.
And Garoppolo.
Well, it's not the other two you just listed.
But these are the.
Maybe it's Hurts.
You have like 5 options. Yeah.
Maybe it's Hurts.
It's so hard for me to say it's Jalen Hurts though, because like with all due respect to him, and this is where like it's just unfair criticism, I guess. But like he doesn't strike. Like if there's 60 seconds, there's a minute left on the clock. I'm not picking Jalen Hurts to march me down the field. I'm sorry, I'm just not. And he's a very good quarterback. He's a top 10 quarterback, I would argue. But I'm not picking him over Allen or Burrow from just in this exact example.
The only one I could choose if Super Bowl was is Burrow. It's the only one I could choose and do that. How many come from behind victories does he have on there?
I just closed it. I closed it. I'll find it again.
Probably not. I bet you he doesn't have more than 10.
I mean,
active.
They haven't won enough games. As part of that.
I bet you he doesn't have more than 10.
He's got 9. So you were right there. Yeah, he's got 9. Daniel Jones and him have the same amount.
But I will say, this one more than even just the stat that you're giving. There is like an eye test, smell test part to it.
That's what I mean by it hurts. Yeah.
When I watch Joe Burrow in a 2-minute drill, I do watch a guy who gets it done usually.
Compared to Daniel Jones, yeah.
Nobody gets it done in the clutch all the time. But that's the thing. That's the thing I can't really get past with Josh. Josh Allen probably would be my choice at 2, because the hardest thing to get past is when it is game is on the line and you better win this damn game. Josh Allen does that a lot. He does it against everybody not named Patrick Mahomes. Close it again.
I was going to ask how many Josh Allen had, because I don't think we answered Josh Allen.
Hold on. Let me pull it back up.
Or Lamar Jackson.
I'll leave it up for the rest of the show now, right?
At least for the rest of this segment.
Josh Allen is 11th in active leaders. He has 21 of them. He is 2 behind Dak and Mahomes. He's 1 ahead of Goff.
How many
2 ahead of
does
Geno
Lamar
Smith.
Jackson have?
Lamar.
Yeah, obviously wouldn't be playoffs, really.
For any of these.
Lamar is 12 of them. He's tied with Jalen Hurts and Baker Mayfield.
See,
they've obviously played different amount of years. Keep that in mind. But yes,
yeah, I think so.
Would you rather? I think this is interesting in this conversation. Would you take Jaden Daniels or Lamar Jackson
in a game-winning drive
over a guy like
Lamar.
Josh Allen?
You'd have to take Lamar
because of the running.
You'd still have to take Lamar at this point. 1 year into Jaden Daniels' career.
Well, no. I'm saying either of them compared to Josh Allen or any of the other guys or Stafford. Would you rather take Lamar Jackson in a game-winning drive or Matt Stafford? I think that's a interesting conversation.
Probably lean Matthew Stafford. He's just done it more.
I don't know if that's because you could also say, well,
I know you would say, well, Lamar can just take off and run, but still,
Lamar
Matthew
doesn't
Stafford
have the weapons too that Stafford has. Technically, you could also make that argument.
I'd probably lean Lamar, but that's the biggest toss up probably of the entire group. Can I ask something about while I was gone that I felt like?
No, actually, you can't. No.
So when you're gone from the sports stuff, you're just all watching it at a glance. Is kind of how it feels.
For sure.
I saw Cags hit 2 home runs. And I might pay attention to the games or watch them on game day. It varies a little bit, but you're watching everything from a glance. The entire time I was gone was every different person and sports person in this town just taking turns, making wild guesses of what they thought were going to happen at the stadiums that culminated in 78 different rumors. I saw legends for the Royals, legends for the Chiefs, renovation for the Chiefs at Jackson County. Royals in Clay County, Royals at Washington Square Park, Royals at the Asperia campus, a public vote for the Chiefs. I saw 15 different theories all being reported, I think, as this is what I'm hearing, rumblings. Mm-hmm. Everyone's getting a lot of rumblings, it felt like when I was gone. Is that a good way to describe it in the time that I was gone?
There were some reports out there that I think had some interesting elements to them. I said it on, was that Monday or Tuesday? I think the Royals, the Legends thing makes 0 sense whatsoever. We don't have to get back into the specifics on that, but I think it makes 0 sense. I think the biggest takeaway in the last week or so is all the momentum continues now to suddenly shift towards the Chiefs renovating Arrowhead. I think if we were to just gauge the, where's the meter leaning update, it's in the last week or two shifted more and more towards Chiefs renovating Arrowhead and staying there. The other update we got, and this was interesting information, I think it was Jonathan Ketz who had it first from Fox 4, is that we all know the Star Bond deadline is Monday. We all knew they could extend it, but the latest is now, not only can they extend it, but they can extend it retroactively. So we could
it's always a fake deadline?
So it could be 3 weeks from now, and they can say, oh, by the way, yeah, we did it. We did go ahead and extend. They don't have to announce they're extending it. They can retroactively up to a certain period of time.
Because they know they're not getting the answer by the 31st is what I'm hearing there.
Or
30th, whenever it expires.
Yeah, Monday, I think, right? So yeah, I mean, I don't think we're finding out Monday afternoon where they're going, if that's what you're asking. No.
So, yeah, it was just a bunch of rumblings. I will say the renovated Arrowhead, maybe you and I were talking like off air, I can't remember if it was on air, like 3 weeks ago. It was always the same thing. Like, what I had heard is like they have a plan for renovated Arrowhead.
I think they do.
They don't actually have, like, as in, like, they have detailed architectural plans,
I'm sure
I
they
believe, for a different plan for renovated Arrowhead that's not the same as the first
Well,
one.
we know the dollar amount
and
jumped up.
blueprints and all. Yeah.
We knew the dollar amount jumped up.
And they don't have that yet for whatever potential site, which meant to me they were probably more serious about the Arrowhead site. But then, like, I don't know, like, and I don't know. I don't know if, like, is the Clay County thing, is that back in play? I kind of felt like that was gone. Is
I
that?
don't think so.
You think it's either, you think it's Asperia or Washington Square Park?
For the Royals, yes. I just don't, the Legends thing makes no sense to me. They're going to go to the furthest west of the metro area.
That'd be the worst choice of all time.
And you want to draw attendance on weeknights and stuff, and you're asking people from the eastern side of the metro area to go all the way to Legends. They'll do it for a Chiefs game because it's
1 day a week.
It's 1 day. You
8
think
times.
on a Wednesday night? It doesn't make any sense. You and I both prefer the downtown site. We've said that for years now. Whether it was the East Village originally, we've been very much
My second
pro,
site would be the Clay site.
pro downtown. I like the renderings for the Clay site, but I think if they're not downtown, they would go to the Overland Park site.
So it feels like I didn't miss anything in the stadium front.
No,
Everyone's
just
still
there's some clarification on a few things, but
it felt like this speculation took like a jump up. Maybe because we're getting closer to the deadlines, more people are talking. But it definitely felt like it went like the guessing game took another level in the time in which I was gone. Somebody says the Star Bond was already extended. Did I miss that?
No, they did not officially announce that it was extended. Again, they said that they can retroactively extend it. We just all know, we just assume that it's going to not technically. This is where technically it's not going to expire because they can announce in 2 months that they retroactively extended it.
What else did I miss on the show while I was gone, by the way? Somebody tried to tell me that Drew tried to mention the Gamecocks and that didn't go great.
So I was gone last Friday, Cody. Right?
We do not need to rehash
I was gone last Friday. I was gone last Friday.
I didn't know. I don't know anything about it. I'm not kidding.
I'll tell you about it during the break. I'll tell you about it during the break.
It was just Drew and Bink, and they, of course, were talking college football.
Yeah, sure.
And they were talking about their teams they liked this season. They're talking about quarterbacks and what Lenoris, whatever his name, Sellers or something.
Yes.
They're talking about him, and all of a sudden, Bink said, "Oh, Drew's a big Gamecocks fan," but he just said,
"Yes,"
and he didn't have the plural attached to it, so he just said, "You're a fan."
And I quickly said, "I do think the South Carolina Gamecocks can be pretty good this year."
And there's a drop of it, but I don't know if we. I mean, if you
I
have
don't even know if we're allowed to play it.
If you have the S on it, that's their nickname. But the problem is, Bink didn't say have the S on it.
So we're not
he just
going.
said
We're
you're
not going to play.
So we're not going to
correct
play the drop. Drew's very concerned about it as well.
Is that the majority? Were there any fights? Wait, hold on. I did hear one thing.
Bink was
right after he apologized on the air, and he said he's got no problem with me, and he says he's got no beef. After he made fun of my song, Carrington was crushing me for taking vacation time to spend time with my family. Terribly sorry. I wanted to be around my daughter and son for the length of time in which I missed the
Scott
trip.
Parks was saying,
what a monster I am for spending time with my family.
Parks was even saying from over KMZ, he's like, where's Cody coming back to work? People were wondering, man.
You saying on that side of the building?
People were wondering. Text line was
Dave's
saying
gone for
somebody
a week
asked
sometimes.
if you got fired yesterday on the text line.
Oh, it took that long?
There's a couple of those. A couple of those started to come in. It'd
Been in
a little
trouble
bit.
a couple of times the last month, but not fired.
Nope,
Those are different.
Nope. So yes. Are you back for the long haul here? Are you?
Yeah, I think so. I don't have, I don't have any other planned trips at the moment.
Yeah, I think
currently just like, as it sits there might
I
be
will
a
say
day or two
tomorrow,
here or there, but
we'll fill you in tomorrow. Every show's doing this. The morning show did it last Friday. Tomorrow we have a football planning day. We are getting set for the fall. We plan out our shows for the fall, et cetera, and what we're going to do differently and for training camp and all that. So tomorrow we are not on the show.
We. The collective we.
That is true.
We will be here, though. If something breaks, can I reserve the right?
Yes.
Like, if they announce the Royals are building a downtown stadium.
Obviously, we will cancel the meetings and we'll be on the air. Yes.
I was like, can I reserve the right if something really cool happens that maybe I could just pop in there for a few? No, I just, I heard he was bashing me for being gone. Carrington, I will say, Carrington takes vacation in a way I've never seen anybody take vacation in my life. And this is not like, it's not a criticism, it is just an observation. Carrington takes the same amount of vacation I take in a year, but he takes it 2 days at a time, 52 weeks. It's like, it's the most random smattering of miscellaneous days, never squeezed together. I'm not wrong, am I?
No, you're not.
Alex is exactly the way he takes it, right?
I couldn't tell you the last time he was gone for a week.
Day
like
here, day there, 2 days here, front and back, half day. He'll just take the most random smattering of days. I've never seen anyone take vacation in that regard. I told you, man. You sit in that dance studio 5 straight days. That Texas heat. The worst part of the entire trip, easily, is they have a huge production number, and the gigantic set piece they need in order to do that production number had to come down in parts because it's so big, which meant on Sunday morning before their dance in the Texas heat, I essentially had to just do construction work for 2 hours. And you're like, this is the worst.
Dang.
This is miserable. This is hot and sweaty, and I don't want to do it. Like, can I unvolunteer from this? I'll do any other assignment. It got billed in time. It's fine.
Someone from the 913 is happy that you're back. Not going to lie, guys. I did miss the sissy guy's voice while he was gone.
Oh.
From the 913.
Wow.
That's, you know what? They said they missed it, though. I'm taking that as a compliment. They still call it a sissy little voice, but, you know.
All right, guys. Coming up next, we'll get to the 11 o'clock hour. Something that I don't know if fans care as much about as apparently some members of the media when it comes to what the NFL is doing. And we'll talk more about the Royals and a name or two that they've been linked to in the trade market. That's coming up here on Cody and Gold.
What's up, Kansas City? This is Bobby Witt Jr., and you're listening to Cody and Gold, weekdays starting at 10 on 96.5 The Fan.
Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
FanDuel, because nothing says summer fun like adding excitement to the game while your friends are out there getting sunburned at the beach, at the lake. Summer sports are calling your name. Baseball under those stadium lights, golf on the pristine green fairway, soccer matches with world-class goals, and all the action-packed moments in between. You were going to spend all day following your favorite sports on your phone anyway. Might as well make it more thrilling with FanDuel. Open that app today to see the daily promotions. In fact, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com/Alex to get started. FanDuel is an official partner of 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present, Kansas. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting up is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
It's the spring sales event at Rob Sight Ford, and I'm here with the man himself, Rob Sight. Rob, you already stole the spotlight. Now what are you trying to take?
Just your attention, Kevin, and maybe a few trade-ins. Now, we've got up to $14,000 off new Fords with employee pricing, plus our own dealer discount.
$14,000. That's hotter than your Sunday barbecue.
Exactly. And unlike your burgers, these deals won't dry out. We've got hard-to-find inventory, huge trade-in values, and our non-commissioned sales team makes everything so easy.
No pressure, just real help. Even I'll admit it, it's the best place in Kansas City to buy a car, and I don't hand out compliments lightly, or seconds.
That's a fact. And don't forget, we're Kansas City's top-rated Ford dealer on Google. 4.8 stars, nearly 3,000 reviews, and 0 grill marks.
All right, Rob, I'll give it to you, man. You're cooking up some real value over there.
Come see us at 135th and State Line or visit robsight.com. But hurry, these deals are sizzling and inventory's moving fast.
And tell him Rob sent you. No guarantees, but he might throw in a hot dog.
I love saving money, and Hy-Vee is always finding ways to save me some dough, like new lower prices in every department. And on top of that, I save so much money at the pump with Hy-Vee's awesome fuel savers deals. I love watching the number roll back at the pump, and Monday, June 30th is for me. I'll earn a 40-cent per gallon fuel discount with every $60 grocery purchase, and you will too. So stock up for 4th of July weekend and stack up all of those fuel savings. It's awesome to save money at the pump, only at Hy-Vee.
Nothing says summer like a backyard barbecue. Invite your family, the neighbors. You can even include the entire Little League team. Hy-Vee makes it easy and affordable. This Friday through Sunday, save big on all your favorite flavors of summer, like John Morel Frank's just 97 cents, Juicy Ripe Cantaloupe $1.99, Pepsi 6-pack bottles $2.99, and Lay's potato chips just $1.99. Hurry to the backyard barbecue sale and fire up the grill this weekend only at Hy-Vee.
I'm Rhett.
And I'm Link.
And we're the hosts of the podcast Ear Biscuits. We're just two lifelong friends who've been talking about life for a long time.
From being dads to businessmen to all the random things we experience, nothing is off limits.
And now we're talking to you. We're answering your questions, giving advice that you may or may not want to take, and listening to your hilarious stories.
So leave us a voicemail to be part of the show at
1-888-EARPOD1 on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, Zoe Saldana. Welcome to T-Mobile. Here's your new iPhone 16 Pro on us.
Thanks. And here's my old phone to trade in.
You don't need a trade-in. When you switch to T-Mobile, we'll give you a new iPhone 16 Pro. Plus, we'll help you pay off your old phone up to $800, and you still get to keep it.
There's always a trade-in.
Not right now at T-Mobile.
I feel like I have to give you something in return for karma.
That's okay.
I don't really have much in my purse. Oh, let's see. Hand sanitizer. It's lavender.
I'm good. Seriously.
Let me check this pocket. Oh, mints?
Really, I'm fine.
Oh, I have raisins. I'm a mom. Wait 1 sec. I've got cupcakes in the car.
It's our best iPhone offer ever. Switch to T-Mobile. Get a new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence on us. No trade-in needed. We'll even pay off your phone up to $800.
With 24 monthly bill credits, new line $100 plus a month on experience beyond finance agreement $999.99 and qualifying forwarded. For well qualified plus tax and $10 connection charge. Payout via virtual prepaid card allow 15 days. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. See T-Mobile.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6812. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6812. That's 800-575-6812. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Allstate knows your home means everything to you, and you'll do anything to protect it. But not just with any protection. You want insurance that'll be there for you and your family when you need it most. And that's what Allstate's been doing for over 60 years. So check Allstate first for home insurance you can rely on. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Coverage subject to terms, qualifications, and availability. Allstate Vehicle and Property Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Everyone has a fave Wendy's Frosty flavor. And when you're choosing from chocolate or vanilla, it's not that hard. But now, there's all new Frosty Swirls and Frosty Fusions. So try picking your fave from Oreo Brownie Fusion, Pop-Tarts Strawberry Fusion, Strawberry Swirl, Brownie Batter Swirl, Caramel Swirl, and Caramel Crunch Fusion. Not so easy now, huh? For a fresh way to Frosty, gotta be Wendy's. Open till midnight or later.
At participating U.S. Wendy's, hours may vary by location. Oreo is a trademark of Mondelez International Group. Pop-Tarts is a trademark of Kellogg North America Co., LLC. Used with permission.
This afternoon, expect a sunny day with a chance of showers and a high of 92.
Weather brought to you by Staples. Have you heard? The Staples Easy button is back with even more easy. Press it for custom prints, shipping services, even passport photos. Staples. That was easy.
You're listening to the all-new 96.5 The Fan, your home for Kansas City sports. KFNZ FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station.
All right, 11 o'clock hour here on Cody and Gold. Thanks for hanging out with us. We got the full crew back together here on a Thursday. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Drew Nixon with you. 1 hour from now, we hand things off to Vern, his on-deck show, afternoon baseball. And boy, oh boy, can the Royals win a freaking home game. They've lost 9 in a row. 9 in a row at home. Can they score runs? Can they hit the ball to the infield? I'm serious. These are all things that are facts at this point in time, unfortunately, and observations that we all have seen. Vern will take over at noon, get you set as the Royals and Rays. Can they salvage one, snap the losing streak, and try to get something going this weekend against, just the L.A. Dodgers?
Please, Papa.
Please.
Dodgers coming down. Ooh, do we know if Shohei's going to pitch?
I think Saturday.
He essentially, that's
like an inning or two.
The temptation to just go watch Shohei.
Oh, sure.
And I've seen him pitch, but like the temptation again to go watch him pitch because it's such a freak.
We were joking yesterday. We're like, man, if the Royals though, if they're hitting like this, even if they say, oh, Shohei's only going to pitch an inning, they might get 2 because he might only need 6 pitches to get out of it. Swinging at first swing at bats last night like crazy. So I don't know, man.
Impatient last night. Very
yeah, that was the worst approach, as we said. I think they've had, even though the 2 nights earlier they got there was a perfect game against them for 5 innings. I thought last night's approach to the play was as bad as it's been.
I think you and I saw the same thing yesterday. It's a podcast, a recent podcast episode that had come out from Pablo Torre's podcast, which is Pablo Torre Finds Out. And look, he's got lots of interesting parts of the podcast.
Deep on this Belichick, Jordan
Hudson part.
Yeah.
And he uncovers some silly things sometimes or fun things sometimes. But the most recent episode was on a 50 or 61 page document from the NFL that stated a few things. And what we're trying to figure out is this something that matters to fans and do fans care? Or why aren't players making a bigger deal about it? Because behind closed doors, it feels like a big deal. But at the same time, you and I had the same reaction, which is it feels like something I knew was happening and assumed was happening, and now it's just on paper. What happened in this podcast is this document points out that the NFL, in a behind-closed-door meeting, discussed pay or play as a group, which is against the rules for the NFL because that is collusion. You can't, as a group of owners, say, no all-guaranteed contracts, we're getting ripped off, or all sit in a meeting and say, we're all not paying running backs. They're worthless because it could impact the level of players and the way in which they are paid. And this document certainly makes it seem like owners got together and after the Deshaun Watson deal said, no. Everybody, no more of that. We're not doing fully guaranteed contracts. This is the NFL, which seems horrible for the players.
There was a text exchange or two mentioned in the documents that showed one owner thanking another owner for not giving a certain player a certain deal. I think it was the Kyler Murray deal or something. And it was, I can't remember the other owner that was cited, but basically thanking, I guess it would be Bidwell or whatever, thanking him for doing that deal because it made it easier for them to do their deal. It's terrible because it's all right there
it's definitely collusion. There's no question.
In text messages. But as you alluded to, I don't know if fans deep down care because we all kind of assumed, and we talked about it 2 years ago, when Watson got the fully guaranteed awful contract. Immediately, we all knew it. For Cleveland, at the time, everybody said, oh, these other owners are going to hate this. They're going to say, what the heck are you doing? And they are going to make sure that they don't give this type of deal to anybody else. I didn't think they were dumb enough to put it in text messages. But so of course, this idea of, hey, owners doing things in negotiations to make sure that they don't have to become that doesn't become the new standard. Like that happens all the time. You just don't put it in writing. You don't have text messages, conversations about it.
Here's why I think it could end up being important, but also why I think fans don't care. I don't think fans care because it doesn't actually impact any of the play. It doesn't change who wins games, loses games. It doesn't impact the game, right? The game doesn't feel hollow or less truthful or those things. It's just about money. And so, in that regards, fans are like, it's just about the owners trying to save a few cents. And in a game in which you could get hurt tomorrow and never play the sport again, you could kind of understand why NFL owners want to limit the number of guarantees as much as humanly possible. The reason why it might actually become a thing is the next CBA agreement, if I'm the players, I'm making a huge stink about this.
Yeah, they always lose in this, though. Like
I know, but you should
I guess,
this
but
should be the biggest thing on your plate. You guys
NFL
are openly colluding with the amount of money that we're allowed to get. This is crazy.
Unless they do a drastic shift, though, typically the NFLPA is somewhat of a joke. It just is when it comes to these negotiations, man. They end up caving on something that the owners didn't really care to give up anyway. They end up focusing on things that actually are not the bigger picture deal, and the owners end up getting a much better deal. It's the weakest, of the unions, like compared to Major League Baseball's union. It's so weak. And I understand ultimately it's led to there not being stoppages in a long time, which thank goodness, right? And probably on the baseball side, we might be seeing a CBA stoppage.
Everyone seems to think it's coming
in a couple of years. So I'll say that about the NFLPA. We haven't missed football really for the most part.
But they should be making. If I were like the head of the Players Association as a player or my team's representative, I'd be raising a huge stink about this.
Oh, it'll get brought up. I just like what are they? What's the?
Hey, don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, there's just not. And this is why this story did come out a day or two ago. Mike Florio was upset that other outlets weren't covering it more and things like that. It's just like
feel inside football. Is that the problem?
I think it's
you
a little
can't get
inside.
Everyone riled up because the owners didn't want to give the players a little extra money.
A conversation for the casual fan about like, hey, they don't want the guaranteed contract. They were talking behind closed doors and text messages, colluding to make sure it doesn't happen. I don't know if that's as interesting to the casual fan as it is to diehards or certainly business side of the sport. The reason why we're talking about it is we think that everybody kind of assumed the Deshaun Watson deal was never getting handed out to anybody else again. And if it does, it's going to be somebody down the road, like, it would have been, Patrick Mahomes or fast forward a decade from now, whoever the top young 27-year-old quarterback is at that time.
It just feels, honestly, all it does is point out the things I knew. The owners act in Congress together in shady ways. Yeah, and that shouldn't honestly surprise us. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, the other part, and someone points out that this is fair on the text line. Like someone says, it's not the owner's deed. Well, the owners, it's the fact that the owners did this, but also when you think about the players' union, they knew about it as well, and they agreed basically to hide this document or whatever for a while.
It does seem to like they like the shield part. They've got the players on board for that too, and I don't. That's weird to me. Like, how do you convince, because that's I understand why people who are in charge, it doesn't matter the company, right? It doesn't matter if you work at a large oil company or gas station or radio company. I get why the people in the highest level protect the brand. It's hard getting the lower level people to be like, I better protect the brand that is the company. Oh, come on.
Who even is the Players Association president right now? Or the
just switched.
They did just switch.
It's not DeMaurice Smith or whatever it is.
Let's see.
It's Jalen Reeves-Maben.
Yeah, that's the most recent guy. DeMaurice was maybe there's going to be a change coming. The idea that they helped hide it is
that who it is? Yeah, I think it's.
That was a quick Google search.
Lloyd Howell Jr. Sorry. And two, it's executive director and president is Jalen Reeves-Maben. The executive director is Lloyd Howell Jr. It was DeMaurice Smith or whatever before.
I did hear, and I guess there's two questions that I kind of want to get back to. With the Royals a little bit is, you mentioned, first pitch will come up in a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Vern's on Deck show coming up at noon. So I'm going to ask you this in a second, but then I'm going to ask you something as it relates to this in a conversation I think you guys had yesterday. I want everyone, 913-586-7965, to give me a player that they would love the Royals traded for and a player they'd hate. I think we do a lot of shopping where we're like, oh, I want this guy and this guy. Who's the one you don't want? Because I'm always more fascinated with that, the fit of the names that have come out. I've already got my answer for that, so I'll give it. But I was thinking more about a conversation you guys had yesterday before we give the names. And, obviously, any list that right now it says who's everyone going to trade mentions Seth Lugo.
Mm-hmm.
This entire year, let's just say, do you think the Royals would have a better record, the same record, or a worse record if Seth Lugo was off this team and a comparable corner outfield bat was on this team? Because that's the interesting question as it relates to the trade deadline.
Give me an outfielder.
Okay, so the player I love is Eugenio Suarez.
Oh. Yeah,
is that enough?
Third baseman / DH.
Yeah. But
no, they would have. They would. I still think they'd be worse because I don't think clearly they're not just one bat away. Right? I mean, they're not just one bat away. We've seen this, man.
I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out is which is there a name? I'm not going to. Cedric Mullins. If on this team this year, they traded Seth. Too. Yeah, but just I'm trying to give a name that's reasonable because Seth Lugo's reasonable. If Cedric Mullins had been on this team this entire year instead of Seth Lugo, would they have the better record, the same record, or worse? Because I kind of think it's the same, and that's inevitably the issue with they can't really trade Lugo. I will say Eugenio Suarez is a name I would love that they trade for. And the player I would hate is Alex Cole. And I'm going to tell you why together. Cole, he's an outfielder for the Nationals. He's been brought up multiple times in multiple national articles as a possible trade candidate for him. And the simple reason is why. The reason why these two guys are different is Alex Cole is a light-hitting defensive corner outfielder. And so help me, if the Royals trade for an outfielder with zero pop, I'm going to lose it. I cannot. They have to trade for a player with power. If they choose the utility outfielder or infielder with no pop, well, then you've just wasted all of our time. This team cannot hit homers, has not hit homers all year, and if any of the trade candidates that I see get mentioned have no pop, get brought into the conversation, I'm gonna die. I'm just not gonna enjoy it. It's going to be a complete oversight by them, and that qualifies to like Cedric Mullins. Well, Cedric Mullins probably got 10 or 12 homers, so he's got enough pop.
Yeah, I'll play along in the conversation. Cedric Mullins got off to a hot start. He's cooled off drastically. He's hitting like 220 now.
Yeah,
he's cooled off big time. But the other problem with Cedric Mullins, and the same thing why I would say I'm not interested in Ryan O'Hearn for a variety of reasons, the rentals. And and so is Eugenio Suarez or whatever. The only reason why I would be okay
cheaper rental,
with Suarez is if you made that move right this second. Not when you're 8 back. I don't want them trading for a rental on July 10th if they're 7 under 500. No. But now when they're still 3.5 out, if they want to trade for a rental, I'm fine with that. By the way, the rental, Seth Lugo, you're not trading Seth Lugo for a rental player. You better be getting somebody back with some control if you're doing that. And you would, by the way.
Yeah.
The Seth Lugo thing, to answer your question, would they be better or worse without Lugo? No, I think they'd be worse because they're not just one bat away, man. My trade thought at this point, unless it's done in the next 5 to 7 days, is that player needs to have control beyond 2025. Otherwise, I'm not making that move.
So right now on the text line, don't want Ryan O'Hearn, don't want Starling Marte. They said go get one of the Rocky center fielders who they want. Lance says he doesn't want Eugenio Suarez. He wants Jarren Duran.
Well, Duran has a couple of years of control, I think. At least one more, if not two more.
And plenty of talent. Someone says time to make that Mike Trout trade, Cody. Again, the only requirement, if they end up making a trade, and I think they should just trade today, which we talked about earlier in the show, but it has to be for power. I don't care.
And we run into the problem, though, Cody, is who's trading power right now. The same people that will text in wanting the Royals to sell and wave the white flag, those other teams aren't doing that either. So, you know, as much as we bring up these names, are the Orioles trading yet? And I know the argument will be like, you got to make them trade. Well, it takes two to tango. I'm not saying clearly. I'm very confident that J.J. Piccolo in the front office has called around. Yeah. Very confident saying that. But they can't force somebody to make a trade. Well, overpay. I think they would have to overpay, but that doesn't. You still have to have another franchise willing to make the trade. And a lot of franchises, when the calendar is still in June, are not making the moves. Yeah. And don't cite me Rafael Devers. That was a unique circumstance where basically he embarrassed the general manager, where he wasn't happy where he was playing. He wasn't happy they got Bregman. That's a completely different scenario than just a normal trade that we would see around the next month.
I am with you on the control part of it, because the interesting part of that is if I'm giving up one of my better prospects, right? Like Carter Jensen, who just got promoted to AAA because he's having a great year, or Mitchell, or any of the other names that have come up quite a bit as the better players in the Royals. I've even seen like the 18-year-old David Shields.
Yeah. Do you think Jensen got called to AAA to try to start showcasing him for a possible trade? Or do you just think it's his progression and it is nothing?
I think he was natural timeline fits. Gotcha. I mean, I could conspiracy theory it if we want, but the natural timeline hit. He played a normal amount of games I would expect a player to play in AA and perform at the level I would expect to get promoted. So like the progression timeline fits, logical circumstances and logical timelines. But it's like, you can't give up a player like that for this year unless you're also sure you get them for next year in case you come up short this year. Look, I don't know if they're going to come up short this year. It certainly is leaning that direction at the moment from the playoffs, but there's still, and this is not to like cover them, there's still only a couple of games out of a playoff spot, so it's not out of the question.
But you would agree,
still make
right?
The postseason. But you can't be trading away good prospects only in the hopes of this year catching up.
But you would agree, if they end up going winless on this homestand and back-to-back homestand, then on Monday it's over. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think we could probably safely
if you would have lost 13 in a row at the end of this homestand, if they don't get it going today or Friday or Saturday or whatever, then you come in on Monday. At that point, what are they, 4 under right now? So at that point, you're 8 under in this scenario. They would be 8 under 500. Okay, it's at that point they should be looking to be sellers. If this homestand continues the way it's going. Now, if they win today and they win a game or two against the Dodgers, then no. On Monday, I think it would still be the same conversation. They're still kind of in it. Don't need to sell or anything. But if you would have then at that point had a 13 home losing streak and an 8-game overall losing streak, and you're 8 under 500, yeah, then it would be time to start selling.
You could sell early, I guess, in that hypothetical, and then at least open up the conversations. I don't know. I feel like they're stuck in a weird spot. You and I had said it to start the show, and I still feel that way, which is just feels like if you're trading to add to your team, you have to be the team that figures out a way to do it early. If you're trading to sell your team, you can wait 3 more weeks and it doesn't change anything. But it's like just standing pat right now. Ugh, that feels so.
I don't think when the dust settles, whether it's middle of July or the deadline at the end of July, I don't think they're going to not make a move. I think there will be something. Will they trade Lugo? That's still going to be the big wild card. Will they be willing to do it if they're out of it in the middle of the month? And I sure hope they will. If they're actually out of it, and I hope they're not, but if they are, then they absolutely should trade him. You got to get something in. If you think I'm wrong or Cody's wrong on he's going to opt out and not sign back, well, then guess what's great? If he chooses to opt out, you can technically still sign him again in the offseason. We brought up the example of Flaherty from the Tigers. Like, it's not likely, but there's nothing that prevents you from bringing him back even if you trade him. So you got at least get something for him if this team ends up getting out of it over the next week or two.
In a weird way, that's like best case scenario. You trade him away, he opts out, and then you just give him more money again and bring him back. Maintain your rotation, get the player back with control that you wanted in place of it, and then continue down this same path again. I do find it fascinating that 2 of the biggest names in the corner outfield trade market are 2 guys who failed here.
Yep.
Brent Rooker and Ryan O'Hearn both failed here.
Yeah, and I understand other organizations have examples of guys that went on and had success elsewhere. But obviously, considering right now your offense is a franchise worst, it's obviously not great to see 2 of these guys out there.
In a weird way, it's like, so you weren't like crazy in the talent that you were eyeing. I'm just like, if I were looking at those, I would have very serious questions about like, what the hell are we doing in the hitting development? Like, what are we doing wrong that these guys who were like, oh, this guy's got it. He can play. I can see that he plays. It makes sense. For the A's, Brent Rooker's really worked. For the Orioles, Ryan O'Hearn's really worked. We saw it the whole time, and now it's immediately there. But like, it just feels like very similar players.
Well, it goes back to the conversation that we've had the last couple of days and going back even a few weeks, which is your hitting approach, your hitting philosophy, your hitting coaches. Guess who was working with Ryan O'Hearn in the minors a lot?
Yeah.
Alex Zumwalt.
And I guess this is what's funny is like they never even gave Brent Rooker a chance. He played 14 games for this team. He immediately hit 30 home runs the next year for the A's. He didn't play for this team. They didn't even take a good, strong look at him.
Yeah.
And try to see what it is.
O'Hearn and Rooker, as we've talked before, though, are a little 2 different scenarios. Though, like Ryan O'Hearn got every opportunity here. Brent Rooker got a handful of at-bats. It's a little bit different, but the end game, I get what you're saying. Now they're both having success.
For Rooker, so they obviously liked the talent they saw on paper and thought this is going to work inside our system.
But he only got a cup of coffee. Like he was never
like an actual chance.
He got fewer than 50 at-bats in the organization.
In fairness, Ryan O'Hearn was given more than a fair shake here in Kansas City.
No
for
doubt.
A chance
I also think O'Hearn's in a perfect ballpark right now for him.
I do too.
And give him credit, right? He's having success. Props to him. O'Hearn. Let's get to the trash of the day.
Trash of the day.
Still got me blocked. Think he gets traded back to Kansas City? Think he'll unblock me?
No.
Let's start anew.
No. What are you going to go talk to him in the clubhouse and apologize?
He doesn't even remember who I am.
Yeah, you're never getting unblocked.
No.
Bill Snyder's not unblocking you. I still think that's if you want to put in one of the worst knocks on your social media presence,
my personality
is getting blocked by Bill Snyder. By the way, everybody agree that's on you, man. That's on you. It's definitely not on the Hall of Fame coach Bill Snyder. That's on you.
The guy who writes handwritten notes to people.
That's clearly on you. Anyway,
do anything.
All right, let's go to Burlington, Vermont. None of us have been there, I don't think.
No.
Their city council's approved a new ordinance aimed at curbing nudity downtown. Here's the exact issue.
Is that a common problem?
They're They're trying to crack down on, I guess, cracks being shown a little bit.
Well written.
Counselors say there have been multiple reports of incidents in recent years of indecent exposure in public areas. Under Vermont law, Burlington police are limited. Now counselors say the ordinance is aimed to strike a balance. Nudity is not illegal in Burlington or the rest of the state, as long as, of course, you do not undress in public or harass others. Last week, they hosted the annual World Naked Bike Ride. By the way, sounds extremely uncomfortable. Extremely uncomfortable.
I gotta say, I think that would chafe in areas you don't want chafed.
Sounds so uncomfortable.
How long is the bike ride, man?
The seats on bikes are uncomfortable when you got full clothes on.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think there's enough baby powder to make that a comfortable situation.
You go over
for anybody.
You go over a bump. Oh,
So
no.
they have decided that there are so many issues of people
being
with their
nude.
ass out downtown
that
they want a new city ordinance
to crack down.
And I mean, it's just a butt. Just like, come on. It's fine. We gotta really have a whole. What's the ordinance going to say? That I can take them to jail? I don't want people going to jail for this.
Well, you get a ticket, cited or whatever, and I mean, I don't know about you. You don't want people just walking around downtown.
I do
Butts
agree.
hanging out.
The way this is written, it sounds like it's a common occurrence
in Vermont,
in Burlington, Vermont.
Of all the places, too, that's the part that's really confusing me. Downtown Burlington, Vermont
What do you think?
became an issue.
You think it's got a good reputation or something there?
I don't know. I don't know any. It just seems like a weird downtown area for this to be a consistent nuisance enough that they feel the need to do it. And
Look, that was the story I had. There was one more that I didn't know if we wanted to get to. I thought this one, I didn't want to out Drew too much on this. Maybe he's trying to stay undercover. There's a issue at a quick stop in Duncanville, Alabama. This happened on Sunday. A thief dressed in a Scooby-Doo costume broke into a store, set off the security alarm, smashed it, stole coins, cash, somehow left snacks untouched.
You're supposed to solve
Drew,
crimes, not commit them.
How tall are you?
5'11", 6 foot.
This guy, they described, and the witness said 5'9". But again, we know you're a Mr. Scooby-Doo fan, so I didn't know. I thought this one maybe hit home for you.
I have not been in Alabama recently.
He fled before officers arrived, probably while saying, "Ruh-roh."
No way.
Dressing up in a Scooby-Doo costume, then you got to burn it. You don't even get to have it anymore, you know?
Mm-hmm. That's
supposed to be solving crimes.
Just gone forever.
Not committing them.
So all the things it seems like I missed, honestly, very little sports news in the time I was gone. And I texted you guys about one piece of sports news, and it was that Casey Wolf was retiring.
Yes.
I had seen
the original. We talked about the story, yes.
Dan Mears?
Yeah, yep. Yeah.
Retiring
you were
after
saying
like
you
30
wanted
years.
Chiefsaholic to become.
I said they could put him on a tether.
Yes.
Do it like a work release program.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, Scooby-Doo robbed a store, it sounds like, and did not grab any snacks, which is surprising.
That is surprising, honestly. Missed opportunity.
Terrible.
If you might get caught for the crime anyway, why not just also it's way funnier, at least when you go to jail, if you say you also stole
Scooby-Doo and I stole snacks.
Yeah. Way funnier.
Scooby snacks.
You gotta have a good story in the house.
All right, that is the trash of the day. Up next is a little Chiefs Red half hour. Let's talk about the tight end position, the plan moving forward for this organization. Then we'll get back into the Royals as we hand things off to Vern for some afternoon baseball here on 96.5 The Fan.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
You've been staring at the problem. Either you need a deck in a place where you don't have one, or you need repairs to your existing deck as it begins to fall apart. All-weather decks. Kansas City's most respected deck builder is ready to do that work for you. The right deck at the right price. You can go to allweatherdecks.net. Take a look at all the photos of their work, and I do mean all of their work. Sure, they can handle wood, composite, and covered decks, but outdoor kitchens, pergolas, fire pits, and stone masonry as well. If there's work that your backyard needs, All Weather Decks can take care of it for you. They're a 24-time winner of Angie's List Super Service Award and are ready to handle that project for you. Take a look at their work at allweatherdecks.net or give them a call, 206-1974.
Say hello to Wendy's new 2-for-4 Biggie Bundle. Choose from the JBC made with fresh, never frozen beef, crispy chicken sandwich, 6-piece nugs, or small soft drink. Any two for just $4. It's like the reunion special you've been waiting for, but the only drama is watching you try to pick just two. For a deal as fresh as the meal, gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only. Participating U.S. Wendy's. Request 2 for $4 Biggie Bundles to obtain discount. Individual items at regular price. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S. Alaska.
0% financing is back at Reiselman Nissan. That's right, 0% APR for 60 months on brand new Rogues and Pathfinders. Or choose 1.9% for 72 months. Even 84 months at just 3.49% APR. Looking for power? Get up to $6,000 in total rebates on new Frontiers. And don't miss 1.9% APR for 60 months on the bold and stylish Murano. These are some of the lowest rates we've seen all year, and inventory's moving fast. Visit Reiselman.com for full details. Reiselman Nissan. Every customer, every time.
Need to sell your house in Kansas City but not sure where to start? Selling a home can feel overwhelming, especially if you're facing foreclosure, a divorce, an inherited property you don't want, or just need to move quickly. But you don't have to figure it out alone. Rex Buys KC is here to help. As a local home buyer, I understand the Kansas City market inside and out. My family and I live right here, so I know the neighborhoods, the trends, and the challenges homeowners face. That's why I take a consultative approach, helping you explore your options and find the best path forward. We buy houses in any condition, no need for repairs, no agent commissions, and no hidden fees. You'll receive a fair cash offer with a closing timeline that works for you. Whether that's in as little as 7 days or at your own pace, just a simple, hassle-free process designed around your needs. If you're ready to talk through your options, call me today at 816-330-6000 or visit rexbuyskc.com. Let's find the right solution for you. Rex Buys KC. Local, fair, and focused on you.
Buying a new car might make you say things like,
I can't believe it.
Seriously, it's ours?
Is this real life?
Move it!
Yeah, it's real life, all right.
But what you really need to say is something that can protect your new ride.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Yep, we're here to help you choose the coverage you need. So just remember, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
State Farm, Bloomington, Illinois.
I'm Piera Palazzolo, VP of Digital Marketing for the American Management Association, a company focused on the management training skills needed to enhance the careers of business professionals. We did our research when it came to the best companies for website development and chose AmericanEagle.com. And we couldn't be happier. AmericanEagle.com worked closely with us to understand the front and back end requirements needed to launch an e-commerce website that could handle the complexities of running thousands of seminars nationwide. Our robust new website and improved SEO saw immediate increases in site traffic and web revenue. If you're in need of managerial effectiveness and success, visit our website at amanet.org. If you're in need of a website that provides an unparalleled consumer experience, I highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Transform your business today. Dial 877-WebNow1 for a free digital consultation with AmericanEagle.com.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut. The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy. Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Summer weather means summer storms, and those things could have impacted your roof. Century Roofing is the roofing company you need to handle those things, because they'll be your first call for reliable and trustworthy inspections. They'll give you that free inspection. Take a look at it just like they did my roof. I was like, oh, man, do I need a new roof? No. They said, here's some repairs we can do. This roof still got life in it. They were honest and upfront. They've helped, and the work was great and reliable because they've been in a trusted local company for 35 years. They've done over 30,000 roofs in the Kansas City area. Not just some fly by the night, knock on your door, say they'll take care of it problem. They have experts who can help you file claims with your insurance company, then confirm if enough damage exists. So if you've had those high winds, those hail, those rainstorms, or one comes up, make sure Century Roofing is in your phone to make sure they'll take care of those needs. They've been voted Best of Johnson County 3 years in a row for a reason. Trust the Pilsner strength. Go with KC Basin Female Owned Century Roofing at centuryroofingkc.com and book your inspection today.
Brought to you by Climate Control Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. Visit ClimateControlKC.com. Climate Control has been serving KC homeowners for over 35 years and know how to get your cooling system ready to handle the scorching hot summer. Schedule your AC system tune-up for just $59. Don't wait. Visit ClimateControlKC.com today. Climate Control Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. Welcome in to the Chiefs Red Half Hour. Every day at 11:30 with Cody and Gold on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
Chiefs Red Half Hour brought to you by All Weather Decks, Kansas City's most respected deck builder.
Coming up in about a half hour, we hand things over to Vern, his on-deck show, afternoon baseball. Royals trying to salvage one against the Rays, trying to salvage a home win in the month of June as well. So that's coming your way.
A few more days to do it.
Yeah, they're got four left to try to avoid going 0 at home in the month of June. It has been just horrendous, as we've been talking about, obviously, throughout the week with where things are at home specifically, but offensively, this has been a conversation for the entire season. Let's talk a little Chiefs football here, though. The training camp dates are out there. We are going to be up in St. Joe for, I think, 11 to 12 shows or so throughout training camp, and obviously hope to see some of you up there. We're going to get Drew up there for the first time, I think, a couple times as well, so he can, as we said, see what a championship caliber training camp looks like. None of this Cincinnati crap.
Not a bunch of grab ass or whatever they're doing there.
Yeah, none of that complaining about contracts.
Do they do theirs at a different site, or they do theirs at the facility?
They do theirs at the facility.
First bad sign, you know?
I mean, in fairness, the Chiefs are one of only like 4 teams that go away now. I think there's down to 4 or 5 that do that.
And they're reportedly going to be upgrading, the facilities there, which is nice. They hopefully don't have to walk across the street anymore or anything.
They paid
like
Shamar
that.
Stewart yet?
Nope.
No.
They have not.
As a matter of fact, I'm starting to lean more towards the Bengals side of things than Shamar Stewart.
What?
Oh, yeah.
They're trying to change the contract language.
We've talked about this enough already.
Discussion.
Norman Lott for the Chiefs is still not signed. The difference is you don't hear much about it
because one man is practicing and one's not.
And one's talking to the media and one's not. One organization's not trying to embarrass the player and leak stuff out that makes him look bad. There's a whole difference in there. Anyway, let's talk about the tight ends heading into training camp.
Well, obviously it's been standing out, not just because tight end U was this previous weekend, and I guess everyone got a private showing from Taylor Swift, apparently.
How cool is that?
Which is pretty sweet if you ended up going. I'll say that's the first performance she's done since the Eras Tour ended. And if you just happen to be at tight end U, get a couple of songs from Taylor Swift. Why not? Introduced by Kane Brown or whatever it was over the weekend. But tight end U and all this other stuff. And then I was realizing, I'm like, the Chiefs, once again, and I think I thought about it at the draft, but then I got hung up on the running backs and some other spots that seemed to matter. They did nothing to future address their aging tight end, who Patrick Mahomes this offseason has said, if it's his last year, he's not acting that way. Travis Kelce's not committed to it being his last year. He's obviously worked hard to get in even better shape than he normally is and all this other stuff that kind of goes with it. The lack of future plan at tight end does make me wonder more than ever. I got 2 years left of Travis Kelce. I'm at like 35% officially. I've moved up that there's 2 more years left of Travis Kelce. Not 1, because of the lack of future planning always makes me wonder, do they know something we don't? Do they feel a certain way that we don't? Because the only future planning you could argue is the Noah Gray extension, which I could say they might have signed even if they knew Travis Kelce was going to stay here a couple years.
Obviously, we know Kelce's contract is up at the end of the season. We played, I think when you were gone, Cody, Kelce spoke and was not closing the door on playing past this season or anything like that. Just said, hey, my contract's up at this year, and then we'll kind of see where things are at. I think a lot of it's going to be dictated on the end result of the season, his performance, and his health, obviously. Sure. Let's remember, too, the financial element to this. I think we both agree that if he doesn't play in Kansas City, then he's not playing anywhere. He's going to retire as a Chief one way or the other.
Agreed.
So I think the Noah Gray extension, if you told me, though, do they have a plan for 2 years beyond this? And I would say right now that would be clearly Noah Gray because of the extension.
That would be the last year of his extension, wouldn't it?
I think it would go into the final year of it. Yeah, Noah Gray had last year 40 catches, 437. If you told me that Noah Gray had to be the starting tight end in 2026, I think he could be a 650-yard tight end for them, and they would need to draft one for the future after that. Well, I mean, other than that, yeah, I mean, we're talking about Jared Wiley, who they liked last year, but he got hurt. He's still recovering from an injury. And then it's just a bunch of dudes, let's be real.
Yeah,
like Jake Brenning-Stuhl, who people at camp will act like he's going to be a future Hall of Famer because he makes a great catch. There's no disrespect to him, but that'll be the story. And then the all-name team, Jaquarius Spivey, who they also signed.
I don't think that matters. And look, I understand, like, they took Jared Wiley, and we didn't get to see him play. But like, I got to be honest, when we're talking like solutions for long-term plans, let's just talk left tackle, wide receiver, I don't know, half of the positions, 70% of the positions, I would say. If you take him in the 4th round, that's not future planning. That's taking shots. Like, you're taking a shot at Jared Wiley. That's you take 4th round tight ends because you're like, you're planning on getting a good blocker in run fits. You're not looking for your solution at tight end. I'm not saying you can't find it there occasionally, but you're not actively looking for the long-term solution at that. You're taking chances.
I think we have to realize, too, though, we've been fortunate in Kansas City over the last 30 years. They've ended up with 2 of the greatest tight ends of NFL history. Greatest. That does not happen. There was a gap. I get it. Gonzalez left, and they drafted guys like Brad Cottam and others, and so it wasn't directly Travis Kelce. But that gap was pretty short. So I think we have to change our mindset. Look, I hope we fast forward 3 years, 2 years from now, and they have found the next best tight end in football and the next top 10 tight end and all that. I hope that's the case, but that's not usually how it goes for most franchises. So when you're asking, have they found a replacement years down the road? Noah Gray is under contract this year. He's under contract in 2026 and in 2027. So if you tell me that they have a league average tight end for 2 years, that's what most teams have. I know we're not used to that in Kansas City.
You're saying that's enough future planning
and
to
they
cover
can still, and if there's a year in a draft where they love a tight end, then go spend a premium pick then. Maybe it's next year, maybe it's in 2026. But in 2026, if you told me they're starting tight end, while it wouldn't be Travis Kelce necessarily, but it was Noah Gray, I'd say, yeah, they have a league average tight end. Most teams are fine with that, especially if Worthy ends up developing the way we think he is, if Rice bounces back. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think it's like this problem that that they don't have the best tight end in football.
I'm not even saying
every single year.
The lack of planning makes me wonder whether or not it is. And maybe the plan is, and I see the text line say this, and I had written this in the rundown too, from the 620, I just think the solution is Rice and Worthy. And that they're going to steer away from we have tight ends, and instead I shouldn't be looking at the tight ends they have under contract, but instead they have spent a 2nd and a 1st-round pick on wide receivers each of the last 2 years, and they're going to go about it the more normal way for the reason that you just mentioned. Yes.
But you're going to have hopefully some top-tier wide receiver play.
Yeah, and if that's the plan, that would I actually buy that more than their plan is just Noah Gray. A 3-year extension, 2 years of control, and I'll just be honest, typical contracts, the last year of the deal means nothing. So, like, in my opinion, they only really have 1 year after this one left of Noah Gray. The last year of an NFL contract, do you know how rarely the last year of any NFL contract actually gets played as is? It's so few. So, like, we can point out that he's under contract for that, but under normal circumstances, we would be talking about that year like it doesn't mean anything. Past rookie deals.
How young is Noah Gray? Like, what is he, like 27, 28? Because I think that if Rasheed and
he is 26.
If Rasheed Rice and Xavier Worthy are part of the solution, I think Noah Gray is included in that, but they're not relying on Noah Gray to replace Travis Kelce as much as he's
that's crazy.
He's just the 4th option. He would become the 3rd or 4th option in your offense, which is just a mediocre, solid 600, 700-yard tight end.
So his ceiling's a league average tight end.
Yeah, someone said, why aren't you acknowledging Jared Wiley? Guys, let's just be realistic. We haven't seen him play. So he can be a pleasant surprise. He's coming back from an injury. Acting like he is the future plan, like definitively or anything like that would be crazy. He was drafted, as Cody mentioned, in the 4th round, and he missed basically the entire season due to injury. So counting on him for the future, that's just why are we not factoring him in? Because it was a wild card even if he was healthy last year.
Can I point out the other thing about Jared Wiley that I guess the text line seems to be ignoring? He was a blocking tight end in college, not a receiving tight end. He played 5 years of college football. 5! He played in 60 games and had 1,000 yards. He's Travis Kelce now? Hell, he's not even Noah Gray. They shouldn't even be lumped in together. He is a blocking tight end. I'll just tell you right now, this is something that is different than probably the way we operate because we're not in the building and the way fans operate for the things I think you've pointed out before, Gold, which is like the fantasy football aspect of football. Teams, NFL teams, value blocking tight ends more than we care about them. They'll take blocking tight ends in the 4th or 5th round.
What we also do sometimes is, Travis Kelce was hurt his rookie year. So, so Travis Kelce, I think we all know based on his career, he's kind of the outlier. He's literally the greatest tight end in NFL history. So trying to make a comp and say, it's the same path for Jared Wiley.
That's like anytime a bad quarterback has a bad rookie year, they're like, Peyton Manning threw a lot of picks when he was a rookie. You're like, okay, sure.
You can always find it. Brock Purdy was drafted as Mr. Irrelevant. So if pick a franchise drafts a quarterback in the 7th round, he might be just as good as Brock Purdy.
It's like the Rashard Smith conversation in a way with Isaiah Pacheco, where I think he actually has a legitimate shot to get playing time. Where Jared Wiley, to your point, Cody, that's not Jared Wiley is. It's not who he is. Yeah.
I got nothing against him as a player, and I hope that he works out, but he's a blocking tight end.
Last year at camp, in fairness, we talked about him before the injury, and what did we say? We said, hey, he can help them in the red zone. And that could still be the case, but anything more than that right now, considering the injury, I think would be very, very optimistic and completely a dart throw. But we did have conversations at camp that, hey, maybe this is a guy that helps him in the red zone. He didn't have an opportunity to do that. But then if that's what we think he is, then we're back in the same Jody Fortson type of category conversations we had for 3 years on this show and with everybody.
Yeah, I think so. We don't have to fall in love with random players.
Yeah. Now the text line's just joking. They're like, Kittle was the 5th rounder. Yeah, exactly. We can play this game all day long. There are outliers at every position, every single position. There was also MLB prospects that were not drafted in the first 3 rounds that turned out to be Hall of Famers. I mean, there are outliers, yes.
My point is not that you can't find starters in those rounds, but that's not where you search for long-term solutions regularly. I think when you're really looking for solutions, you take those guys in the first 3 rounds. You're like, we need a Travis Kelce replacement. You take those guys in the first 3 rounds. We need a starter at left tackle. You take those guys in the first wide receiver. You take those guys, and then after the 4th round, you do hope to find starters. You hope to find Trey Smith. You hope to find those players. Of course you do. But it's not the position in which you're banking on the same level of this is the replacement player, hopefully, for this. And not replacement in the replacement for Travis Kelce to me is not replace Travis Kelce in the stats and the numbers that he's done. It's you have a starting tight end that you rely on every day in concert together all the time. It's just, it's just a little bit different. That's all. Now we got people just talking about somebody called him Blake Bell. And then now the text line, and I didn't say this from the 816, then why not trade for Pitts? Someone earlier on the text line said Cody's going to say they should trade for Pitts. I want to make it very clear.
I finally got Cody.
I'm off it. I'm off of the trade for Kyle Pitts. This is exactly when they'll do it, by the way. They will actually trade for him after I'm off of it. They'll sign him in the offseason or something. Next offseason.
Okay.
He'll end up being a Kansas City Chief somehow after I'm finally off it.
At that point, when you can get him off the street, maybe, yeah.
Then you're back in?
Well, because then it's
this
nothing.
This is going to be funny. You'll be in.
At that point.
We'll come full circle on this show. I've spent years. And then if he has a good year, then I will say, if in 12 months from now, they sign free agent Kyle Pitts to be a tight end, and he has like a 1,000-yard season, I am going to go back to, it would have worked the whole time here in Kansas City if they should have probably just done it.
From 615. Well, Bob Berkentine was a factory worker before he scored 2 touchdowns in the NFL.
It always kind of comes down to that. You know what? We're a month away from training camp? When's the first training camp date? When are you and I going to be up there?
I think the 21st or 22nd is when we're up there.
Less than a month.
Yeah, the 23rd I think is the first open to the public day. I don't know. Don't count me on those dates, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah. Just curious. Didn't know which step we're going to before. You think the Royals are going to get a win today at Kauffman? Does the losing streak, what's it, 8 games now at Kauffman? 9-game losing streak at Kauffman Stadium in today? I think you should. When's the last time you gone? Have you gone at any time during this 9-game losing streak?
I have not. We have a meeting after the show today. The reason why it's very hot outside, I'm wearing jeans, not just because
I thought that was
I'm wearing jeans because there's a chance I'm going to the press box today, and you're not supposed to wear shorts or whatever, I guess, even though it's 100 degrees outside. So I might go to the game to answer your question. I have not gone. Today, if you're just wondering where the betting markets are, the Royals are slight dogs, plus 106. The Rays are minus 124. The total for the game is 10. So they think the Rays are doing all the scoring or what?
Who's making the pick for Vern?
10?
Can I jump in? I've made a pick for Vern in a couple weeks since I was gone. Can I jump in? I'm going to take the under of that.
The Royals total runs today, over under is 4.5. They scoring 5 today? I hope they do. Again,
I'm taking the total.
The Rays over under is 5.5.
If the Royals score 5, would you guarantee a win?
Yes, absolutely. That's the thing. They get good enough pitching. Even with Lorenzen on the mound. If the Royals scored 5 runs today, this will come back to bite me. They're not losing. Okay.
I mean, their record is still really good when they score 5 runs.
Yeah, if they score 5, they're winning.
They're not losing 9-8.
But I also know if they score 1 or 0, and definitely 0, they're not winning. It's amazing how the math works out there. So, I don't know, man. Yes, I actually think they win today. I really do.
This team, when its back is really against the wall, they do typically find a way. But, it feels like their back is really against the wall now because just in order to make the playoffs, they legitimately have to play, 7 or 8 games above 500 the rest of the way? Give or take? Maybe 8 or 9 games above 500 the rest of the way to cover the 4 or 5 games below 500 they are now and the 4 or 5 games above 500 we think they'll have to be in order to get the final playoff spot. They got to play 8, 9 games above 500 the rest of the way. There's not it's June.
Yep.
It's not July yet. There's not no time to catch up. There's not, I think you said before the show, too many teams to pass. None of that exists. But you will the rest of the way. We know this is a fact. Have to play 8 or 9 games above 500. So I'd probably start that now. I'd probably begin that process soon.
I think they're a team that's going to fluctuate between 3 under and 3 above 500 the rest of the season.
I'm fully prepared for if the Royals win for you to claim that your presence back on the show would
too much winning and losing while I was gone.
Yeah.
It was
they also did win when he was in Texas right there.
Correct. Yeah.
But you didn't go to the game.
I didn't go to the game. When I was in Texas, they played well against Texas.
You're in the area. You're in the area. That's what you should claim.
I will say.
So what if they lose today and then they'll sweep the Dodgers because baseball's weird? I mean, it would not be. It is. That would be a very baseball thing, and it's not completely unheard of. I know, as nuts as that sounds.
Massive regret. The day Cags hit the homer, which day was that? Thursday or Friday?
Oh, that was last. Was it last Wednesday or something?
I don't remember.
What day was it that Cags hit his homer?
Oh, it was Wednesday because we were off Thursday. I was bummed I didn't get a chance to talk about it. It was last Wednesday or Thursday. I can't remember. Yeah.
Maybe it was actually Thursday. It was a day game, so it must have been Juneteenth.
It was Thursday because you were gone on Friday.
It was a day game.
Yes.
Juneteenth.
That was what it was.
Okay.
It's actually a pretty good day for me to go. My daughter, she was at her national dance competition. On Thursday, she didn't have any dances.
Oh.
So she herself did not dance on Thursday.
You were right there, and you couldn't complain about the heat. The Rangers Stadium is a Menards, basically. I mean, come on.
Cody.
I could have easily talked about. Now, look, I tried to go catch some of the other kids' dances as much as I can. You can't bet 1,000% on that. But I definitely strongly consider going to a game. I could have easily been at Cag's 2 home run game. I'm so mad at myself. I had instant regret because at no other point would I have been fortunate enough to have been in the city and the Royals happened to be in Texas while I was in Texas. It makes sense to just go to a Royals game, to go to a Rangers game because at the very least, the Royals happen to be playing them in town. I just, I hate it. Hate it. A lot of regrets. A lot of regrets about not going to that game. It was cool to see him hit 2 homers. I'd like him to keep hitting a lot more now.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers aren't great. Numbers aren't great for him right now, but the numbers aren't great for many guys in the lineup. And why would I think that the rookie would be the guy that would be hitting well on a team that's historically bad offensively?
20 games into his big league
I'm
career.
surprised, obviously, with how he's hitting, but when I see everybody else is struggling at the plate, well, I mean, truly, why would you think the rookie should be the guy that's hitting better than anybody else?
I don't put more pressure on him than I do the veterans of the team. They've tried to press a lot of buttons, man. And every day it feels like Groundhog Day. We watch the Royals come up to the plate, score 2 runs, pitch really well, lose. And And they're not losing so many games that they're just like, I expect them to lose every game. But if the bats aren't there in that day and you feel it very early on for them, it's like if they don't get a run in the first 3 innings, it's like, well, I'll wait till the 7th and see if they get any. But